Hey, folks. It is Tuesday, November 28th. And you know what that means? It is both Giving Tuesday and my birthday.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, that's
I didn't
true.
know that. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. And in lieu of presents that I know all of you were going to send me today, Give Directly on Giving Tuesday. This is a charity that I've been that I really honestly have loved for years. They give money directly to families in this country or in other countries, and they let the families decide how they're going to expend it. And all of the data, all of the research shows that this is incredibly effective in helping people out of extreme poverty. Right now, donations to families in poverty are going to be doubled till 11:59 p.m. Eastern of Giving Tuesday. That's today, or until matching funds are filled, thanks to a few generous match funders. If Give Directly reaches their goal, it means that 734 families across 3 rural Rwandan villages, of which I cannot pronounce, will receive $1,100 each. This is a life-changing amount of money for these recipients, most of whom are living on less than $300 a year. Even a small donation goes a long way for people living on so little, so give today. Historically, Give Directly has delivered 90% of every donation directly to person in poverty, with the other 10% covering the cost of getting it there. Hundreds of studies show recipients use this money well, improving their income, their health, their education, and their homes. They know best what they need most. Go to givedirectly.org/majority to donate today. Check it out. All right, now time for the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
And I get the feeling you've been cheated.
It is Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, the 5th group of prisoner exchange swapped between Hamas and Israel today. This is day 1 of the truce extension. So far, another day of truce is planned for tomorrow, and then back to the negotiating table or not. Meanwhile, Israel arrests at least 75 more Palestinians across the occupied West Bank. That is the Israeli numbers. Palestinian numbers are closer to 115. New report: Biden to highlight Trump's threats to the Obamacare, while even Biden voters believe the economy is weak. Supreme Court hears a case which may foreclose the wealth tax. That's not quite on the table yet, but hope springs eternal. New Mexico Supreme Court upholds a congressional map, favors Democrats, although just slightly. New report: Mike Pence, he really wanted to do the coup for his good friend. Meanwhile, Hunter Biden offers to testify publicly before Congress, calling Comer's bluff on that subpoena.
Interesting.
New York State finally settles the dispensary suits, paving the way for hundreds of new dispensaries opening up.
Matt.
I was just staring at Matt.
Yeah,
no, no reaction.
I'm excited about that too.
Amazon workers in Philly stage a walkout yesterday on Cyber Monday. National Labor Relations Board fined Starbucks illegally fired workers. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. It is
Newsday Tuesday.
Newsday Tuesday.
And Sam's birthday.
That's right. I'm going to give myself a shofar. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry for not.
Where did Emma go? There she is.
Yeah. I should have had that written down or something. And
No, that's all right.
brought in a treat for you.
I remembered it.
Somebody said it in the chat, and I'm like, somebody's just making stuff up in the chat.
Yeah.
No.
Could have brought you, an apple, your favorite, a Red Delicious.
No, I wouldn't have.
Apple
eaten
with a candle.
But
Yeah.
this is almost more importantly than it being my birthday. It is also the anniversary of it's the 5-year anniversary of when Mike Cernovich tried to sort of successfully got me fired from MSNBC, and then of course I got rehired, and then all the who's laughing now. This was the
Big marketing coup for us.
it was a big marketing coup. It was very helpful for the show, I have to say.
Thank
And
you,
not so
Mike.
helpful for Mike Cernovich. I mean, people don't talk about him very much. He desperately tried to sort of, I think, like push something that Chuck Schumer was a playboy or something. Somebody fed him, and that really
Fool me once.
it ended up being a rat F, essentially. I think
yeah?
somebody gave Cernovich fake information that he tried to basically then push, and then
Why
everybody
would
was
somebody
like,
think they could do that to Mike Cernovich?
well, I know it. It's so mean.
So discerning.
Yeah, he's so discerning with that information. But yeah, it didn't turn out so well for him. He was very. It really was sort of like the beginning of the end of Cernovich's sort of campaign, and now Jack Posobiec no longer works for him, or whatever that guy's name is. And but I want to take this opportunity to thank Mike.
Thank you.
For getting the show out there. And honestly, that week and a half, it was basically he retweeted the tweet on my birthday, and then I think like ultimately MSNBC sort of fired me. I think it was about
It was a we're not going to redo his contract, and there's no scheduled appearances.
Yes,
thing.
exactly. But it came off as like a firing, which was it more or less sort of was, and that took I think like 5 or 6 days later. And he tried to contact our advertisers, and again, also let me do a shout out for JustCoffee.coop. They have been an advertiser with this program for years, and they contacted me and said, we got this weird email from somebody who, from some like non-existent organization. This was over a tweet that I had done 9 years earlier about criticizing people who were promoting Roman Polanski's being able to come back into the country and get a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Academy Awards. And I had tweeted out, because I was upset because there was a lot of like people I knew from show business who had signed this document. I had tweeted out, don't care about Roman Polanski, but if my daughter is ever raped, because he had essentially, he had raped a 13-year-old girl.
Yep.
I think he had drugged her, but he had basically done a plea deal and then fled the country on the day of the plea deal. And so I wrote, I don't care about Roman Polanski, but if my daughter is ever raped, I hope it's by a much older man with a great sense of mise en scène.
It's a great tweet.
Which people who, even if English is like their second or third.
How do you not know that's a joke?
Well,
I mean,
that's
and
not even the point, right? The point is just to bring
wasn't
the
even
heat
necessarily, but it became like a big issue in my mind, anyways. It became a big issue of like, remember, this is 2017. Trump has been in office for only 8 or 9 months. It was the first slow news week, so it got a lot more attention. It was also in the middle of the Me Too stuff.
Yeah.
We had a video that we put out a couple years earlier about Matt Lauer creeping on, was it Hemingway?
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, and not Hemingway.
I don't know how
That's
I
a
know
writer,
that.
but Anne Hathaway, and I think in that clip I said, there's something dark about this dude. He's not going to be around. And that just happened to be when so all this stuff sort of like happened at that time. And my point was like the news media, it's one thing for my company, companies who are advertising to say, oh, we don't have the ability to assess what's going on here. We just want to step away from this. But a news outlet, it's literally their job to be able to say the sun is shining.
Yeah.
Or it's raining. Right. I mean, like they're making this assessment about the tweet. That's what the news media, they have literally hundreds of millions of dollars invested in establishing like what is reality. And that I think like, I mean, that was a big challenge for them, I think, at that point.
And a lesson probably for you and what like the.
Oh, I loved it. I had a lot of fun with that.
It's the gift that keeps on giving for your birthday.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it happened on Sunday. It got like you got reinstated by MSNBC and scheduled, and Michael.
No. The story came out on Sunday that they fired me. I got reinstated the following Thursday.
Oh, okay. So, because what I remember is Michael was hosting, and so if people go back to that in the archive, we played "Bad Boys for Life" by P. Diddy.
Oh, really?
When Sam got reinstated on the show.
Well, on Thursday, that's what happened,
music.
because I think it was a Thursday.
Yeah.
And in the morning, I came in and did, or that night, you and I met me here, and we recorded a video because they were coming after our advertisers. And I found that out from Just Coffee because longtime advertisers, they're movement partners. They had a different relationship with the show than, let's say, whatever it was, Omaha Beef or whoever. And so they, clued me in. And then Mark Maron and Brendan McDonald, we had the same advertising broker. And within a day, Maron and Brendan McDonald came out and said, if anybody leaves the Majority Report over this, and it was the head of Midroll at the time, and I can't, his name escapes me at the moment, but it was really incredibly nice thing and supportive thing to do. No, it wasn't Ackerman, but it was his business partner, I think at that time was still there, said anybody who quits Sam's show and is on Maron's show, they're going to get bumped off of Maron's show, and we're gonna give advertisers a 20% discount, your competitor. And that was the power that Maron's show had at that time. So people were very, very supportive throughout that whole thing. So thank you, Mike Cernovich.
Yes.
This is our anniversary. We're bound together for the rest of our lives. And I always feel like I forget this day coming up, but I always feel like I should send him a muffin basket.
Yeah. If anyone else wants to provoke Sam on his birthday,
Yeah, I mean,
still time.
By all means. We should get into the news. I got a little caught up. I'm sorry.
I
folks.
mean, it's an anniversary of a seminal moment.
Let's do a couple of. We got a couple of sponsors, and then we'll get into this clip of a essentially Israeli public broadcasting, and there was a report on how Netanyahu's talking to backbenchers in Likud. If you've been following Netanyahu's sort of like positions over the years, this may not be terribly surprising, but it's really important in context, and it's going to be a clip that will be a good follow-up on those arguments you had at Thanksgiving with your relatives, if so. But a couple of words from our sponsors first. Holiday times difficult enough. There's a way to make your life a little simpler. Stamps.com is your own personal post office wherever you are. With Stamps.com, all you need is a computer and a printer. It doesn't even necessarily have to be your computer or your printer. Go to visit your folks, visit somebody else, borrow their computer, sign in, and if they have a printer, bingo, bango. Stamps.com will also send you a free scale. You could travel with that, I guess, if you wanted to. That you'll have everything you need to get started. So if you've got a small business, just sending out a lot of stuff, you can take orders on the go. It's even easier with the Stamps.com mobile app. If you need package pickup, you can easily schedule it through your Stamps.com dashboard. And if you sell products online, Stamps.com seamlessly connects with every major marketplace and shopping cart. Stamps.com also has discounts and on postage and discounts on supplies, easy at your fingertips. If you're running low, you order shipping and mailing supplies, you order labels, even printers through the Stamps.com supply store. And like I say, you can get huge carrier discounts up to 84% on the U.S. Postal Service and UPS rates to help your bottom line. Plus, Stamps.com automatically tells you your cheapest and fastest shipping options. Stamps.com has been your postage partner for the last 25 years. For 25 years, Stamps.com has been indispensable for over 1 million businesses. Again, get access to the USPS and the UPS services you need right from your computer anytime. 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning. You get the idea. It's 24/7, 365. There's no traffic. There's no waiting. There's no lines. Makes it super easy. I told the story many times, but back in the day when we started this program, I was sending out DVDs.
Yeah.
And Stamps.com was indispensable in making that process quick and easy for me. And I sent out a lot of DVDs. Also, Mila did too, because I would tell her, like, you're going to get a quarter if you stuff all these things in the envelopes. And that was very helpful. Boy, she was a sucker. Now she's getting me back, though. Give your business the gift of Stamps.com so your mailing and shipping is covered this holiday season. You can sign up with the promo code Majority Report, one word, for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments, no contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, enter the code Majority Report. And lastly, I gave a couple of these as gifts to my sisters because they have nieces and nephews, and now they have a way to see pictures of them. And the beauty of Aura frames is that you don't need to know anything. It's super easy. This is something you can give to your parents as well, because, you know, like they don't know how to do tech. At least my parents. They're not digital natives. I'm barely not even a digital native.
But this is easy enough for you to use.
This is super easy. And it's super easy on my end, too. It's all done with an app. With the Aura frames, all you got to do is, and the amazing thing about Aura is that not only can I upload pictures from my phone with just a click, it will pair photos together, like 2 pictures of the same person or from the same day or something like that. Obviously, I can give the app, I'm going to give it to Mila, and then she's going to upload it. But here's the amazing thing. There's no memory cards. There's no USBs, USBs required. You can actually upload the picture before, even if you don't have the frame. That's like, amazing. So you can send it to them, and when they open it up and plug it in, the pictures will be there. You can either do it when you have the box in front of you. You don't have to open it. You do it with a QR code, or they'll give you a link. It's pretty amazing. Aura was named the #1 digital frame by Wirecutter, The Strategist, and Wired. And this is the last day of Aura's best deal of the year. It ends tonight. Listeners can save $40 on their best-selling Carver matte frame. Oh, this is the other thing about these. They look good. Yeah. They look like real frames. By visiting auraframes.com/majority. That's AURA frames.com/majority. Use the promo code majority, get $40 off their best-selling frames. Terms and conditions apply. We'll put all the links in the podcast and YouTube descriptions. And let's get into this. This is a really important, I think, clip. It's in Hebrew.
Yeah.
And I should say, lo medaber ivrit. Ani lo medaber ivrit.
Can you translate what you just said?
I don't speak Hebrew.
Okay.
In fact, that's the only thing I know how to say in Hebrew. I know how to say like shil shul, which is diarrhea.
Oh, good. That's useful.
Yeah, these are experiences I had when I was a kid. I was in Israel. And so that was basically it. I knew how to say 2 things.
There you go.
And that was basically dominant in my experience.
Will that be helpful in trying to translate this clip?
I don't even know how to say I don't know. but I do know how to say low,
Yeah.
as in no.
Okay.
But this is panelists on an Israeli public broadcast. They're discussing, reporting about a meeting that Prime Minister Netanyahu had with sort of some backbenchers in the Likud. He is desperately trying to hold on to power. Mm-hmm. And he knows he needs to maintain this war, essentially, to stay in power, because he's also afraid of going to jail for corruption charges.
Yeah.
But he also knows that there's increasing pressure to discontinue this war. I think probably not in the least bit, because the IDF is starting to realize, like, we're not going to get rid of Hamas.
I mean, there's no clear military objectives, but again, I still, even that framing, everyone has to understand that the military objectives are secondary to the collective punishment of the Palestinian people and the prevention of any self-determination. That's the framing you have to go into it.
Well, exactly. But from a military standpoint, they're not going to get rid of Hamas. They're just going to come out and say, we damaged Hamas this much or that much. But the U.S. government is supposedly now adding more pressure in terms of, like, you can't go willy-nilly like you did if you start this up again. And so he's got to go in there and basically sell to his party members in the Likud that he's the guy that they want in office, even if there is no war. We're just going to play a little clip of this, but obviously there's no translation. Go play just a little bit of clip, and then we'll read from the report on this.
אמש ראש הממשלה בשיחות בשבוע האחרון עם חברי כנסת בליכוד, עם מבחר של דברים שהוא אומר על היום שאחרי הלחימה בעזה. אתה מביא את הציטוטים.
נכון מאוד, מיכל. נתניהו נפגש עם כ10 חברי כנסת בליכוד רק בשבוע האחרון, רובם אגב מסוף הרשימה חברי כנסת...
Okay, all right, so that's the guy reporting on what Netanyahu said. And this report is coming from the Times of Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reportedly met with at least 10 backbenchers in his Likud party over the past week in an effort to ensure their continued support. And he obviously, my guess is, he obviously met with one who doesn't want him to stay in, and that's why we hear about this, or this thing. And this is a quote from the piece. This is according to the Khan public broadcaster we just heard. I'm the only one who will prevent a Palestinian state in Gaza, and this is in parens, West Bank after the war.
This is sort of the same way he used to talk about, we need to support Hamas if we want to avoid a Palestinian state.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a paraphrase, but we have direct quotes to that effect.
We have quotes of similarly speaking to the Israeli press of these Likud party meetings. And by the way, the Likud party is ideologically mostly in lockstep with Netanyahu. They just are fearful about, his judicial reforms and his kind of
I don't know. The Likud party has a problem with that, but in terms of the Israeli public,
right, exactly. Even if they may want a different figurehead, if public opinion gets too difficult.
I think that he's just seen as incompetent, and politically he's a liability in terms of the Likud party. But that is a completely distinct set of questions relative to their agenda. He's not pushing, this is what we should do to prevent a Palestinian state. He's pushing the idea that I'm the most competent person to inhibit a Palestinian state. So when we talk about the idea of having a partner in peace, et cetera, understand that for years we were told there's nobody sitting across the table from the Israelis in terms of wanting a partner for peace. This is the agenda of the ruling party in Israel. It is to inhibit Palestinian sovereignty. Now, and the idea of a one state solution, a democratic state, multi-ethnic, multiracial democratic state, that's not even on the table.
No. The two-state solution, the reason I think liberals for many decades and continue to, I think it's a false hope, but have propped that up is because it's the most realistic way to, in theory, appeal to some of these Israeli hardliners. But even that, as Biden openly talks about how we need to move towards a two-state solution. The partner that he's working with here, the Israeli government, the ruling party there, is saying we are explicitly trying to undercut those efforts.
And on top of that, the next graph, Netanyahu reportedly told the Likud lawmakers that the Biden administration did not want Israel to launch a ground incursion into Gaza and did not want the IDF to enter Gaza's city's Shifa hospital. Netanyahu reportedly boasted about having gone against U.S. wishes in both those cases. In other words, he's like, I don't have to even listen to Biden. And the point isn't just that he doesn't have to listen to Biden. The point is he doesn't have to listen to Biden, and there hasn't been $1 worth of aid or military equipment withheld.
And we act like he is listening to us.
And Ben Cardin, after we did have those encouraging comments from Chris Murphy saying that maybe we should condition aid to Israel, Ben Cardin, who's
chair of the Foreign
Relations Committee, says, I don't want to do that.
Great Isaac Schottener interview with him over the break, actually.
And this should be, this should be the first question that Ben Cardin gets when Netanyahu, to cement his power in the Likud, brags about not listening to Joe Biden or to the United States. And he says, I've known Joe Biden for more than 40 years. I know how to speak to the American public. Netanyahu's told the Likud lawmakers in
Do you?
individual.
Do
Well,
you?
he
Because
does.
public opinion is kind of, he knows how to speak to American politicians, but he should look at the poll in the United States. But I guess that's just TikTok.
I mean, the polls notwithstanding, he's still being able to deliver completely without any sort of he's bragging about it.
Yeah.
He's bragging about it. This is the way he's going to stay into power because he's able to essentially roll Joe Biden and
walk him like a dog.
And this is the bottom line. He is bragging to the Likud people like, look, they didn't want us to do this. They didn't want us to do that. They're telling us now, reportedly, and this is coming out of, at least this is what the administration wants the U.S. public to believe, essentially. According to the New York Times, U.S. has warned Israel that it must fight more surgically and avoid further mass displacement of Palestinians in its war against Hamas to avoid a humanitarian crisis that overwhelms the world's ability to respond. Now, in my assessment, this is being couched in the terms of just humanitarian, as opposed to the Biden administration saying, this is no longer politically viable for us to essentially give you this carte blanche, at least publicly. White House has told Israel that replicating the scale of its bombardment in northern Gaza as it makes an expected push into southern Gaza once the recent pause in fighting ends would produce a crisis beyond the capacity of any humanitarian support network, officials said on Monday night. The United Nations has said fighting has already displaced Gaza's population of 2.2 million. Among other things, American officials have told Israelis that any coming military operations should not hamper the flow of power and water or impede the work of humanitarian sites as hospitals and UN-supported shelters, to the extent that there's any left, supported shelters in South and Central Gaza. The Israeli government was receptive to the request, one official said. Really? Because that official should go take a look at what they're reporting in Israeli media, that Netanyahu is bragging.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything they say, and they still give me everything that I want.
Receptive in the sense that they received it and then put it in the receptacle.
Yeah, I love the diplomatic language is so great. They need to be more surgical, as if they were being surgical beforehand.
I mean, it's a dark laughter, but at least 15,000 Palestinians
Jerome Bettis
dead.
needs to be more ballerina-like.
6,000 children.
And now Kirby is out there saying that, our team has prioritized getting much needed relief into Gaza. I think at the very least that regardless of whether they're doing anything or not, the pressure that they're feeling from public protests, from, increasingly, just the public polling, the administration realizes that at the very least, there is a political liability to them associated with this. And so there is value, I think, in, it's aside from the moral obligations that I think people feel, as a political matter, it is at the very least squeezing the Biden administration a little bit.
And then let's zoom out about the political matter. What is Netanyahu's incentive to create a hospitable environment for re-election for Joe Biden at this point? Netanyahu, if he wants to remain in power, wants Trump back. There's no question. So the Biden administration has to maybe get its head out of its ass and start to question what Netanyahu is imposing on them from a domestic political perspective, and what their interest would be in getting Likud out of, well, I mean, at least Netanyahu, but also not empowering the Likud party, which has openly basically said that they do not believe in any Palestinian statehood and they want Israel control from the river to the sea. And if those kinds of partners are somebody that's like are worth propping up, and the U.S. could use its leverage to disempower Netanyahu, and then basically he can't go to the public in Israel anymore and say, like, I have the U.S. in my back pocket if the Biden administration chooses to actually have some foresight.
Now, there's
here.
plenty of time for self-preservation after we, complain about the left noticing reality for another couple of weeks.
Yeah, and we should say that within the context of the ruling government in Israel, which is a parliamentary system, Likud is like the moderates.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear about that. The other parties involved, and I think they have like I'm not sure if it's like a 65 to 55.
76 to 44.
76 to 44 is basically some fascist far-right parties and then some ultra-Orthodox fundamentalist partners. That's basically it.
I mean, Smotrich, the finance minister,
and I should say,
is a part. Sorry.
I will say that since October 7th, there has been a slight shift in that because there's been a unity government. But once this dies down,
Yes.
that's what the basis of his power was.
But the basis of his power was also, Likud and their partnerships to create a government with people like Smotrich, who is a member of the Religious Zionist Party and is an extremist settler himself, who was also quoted, I believe, today, saying that there are 2 million Nazis in the West Bank. So, like, the Biden administration should try to at least wake up partially to the people that they've decided to link arms with here, because it's not going to end well for them. Let alone, obviously, the moral considerations of partnering with far-right fascists who want
I think
to
Joe
kill people.
Biden is honestly is just living in 1973.
Yeah.
And it's all he still has.
You see in TV and like that sort of like hazy.
It's
Sure.
all it's all like it's all radon and Tebby and
Well, then can Antony Blinken live in the 90s at at least? Because
I
I'd
don't
be
know,
more
wasn't his
appreciative
first,
of that.
Wasn't his first tweet to write? I don't know if he did a ceasefire and
Yeah.
then
On
he
the
immediately
8th,
deleted
or maybe
it?
the 10th, it was, I agree with the Turkish diplomats that we should do a ceasefire and immediately start to release hostages.
And then all of a sudden the phone rings and he's like, "What? Seriously?
Oh,
Yeah.
we can't say that?
Oh, okay."
Oh, we have to act like ceasefire and hostages are opposed for some reason?
I didn't
Okay,
know.
let's do that for a month and a half.
And lastly, New York Times reports that according to the Israeli military, they arrested at least 71 Palestinians from across the occupied West Bank where there is no Hamas just over the weekend on unspecified charges.
Unspecified is doing a lot of work there.
The Palestinian Authorities Commission gave the number at least 112. So, I mean, we don't know. But
I mean, there are thousands of Palestinians detained in Israeli jails that are there on unspecified charges.
Yep.
Often they are teenage boys, and who are detained, or just younger people for misdemeanors like rock throwing at tanks and other things, or there's no justification whatsoever. So, the raw numbers of the 150 that Israel released pale in comparison to the long imprisonment of Palestinians without justification.
all right, let's. I want to just talk a little bit briefly about the Supreme Court case. We've talked about this in the past. It was queued up. This is the case is Moore versus United States. And there's really some questions about the way that the plaintiffs have have presented themselves to the case and to the court. And more information came out this week, and I'll get to that in a moment. But this case, you'll recall during the 2020 primary, Elizabeth Warren floated a proposal, and I think Sanders has certainly been talking about it broadly, the idea of a wealth tax. This is as opposed to an income tax. Income tax is a tax that you get levied on money that you make in any given year. A wealth tax would look at your assets and tax the value of those assets. Now, the first thing you hear from, just coincidentally, really wealthy people,
Wealth managers,
is that there's no way to make that assessment. Now, we do this every day in this country. In fact, not only do we do this on probably the lowest level, the smallest level of government that we have, like counties, I think, or towns, when they assess the value of your real estate without it being sold.
Yeah, they go into your basement and check if your ceiling's like finished
Yes.
and stuff like that.
Or they just drive by and they make a guess and whatnot, and it's always under what it's valued at. So the idea that we can't physically do this is absurd.
We've tried nothing and nothing works.
You can definitely assess people's wealth. You may be undercounting, but if people want to be a little bit more transparent, that's fine too. So the idea that Warren had in particular was any American that had over $50 million, they would have to pay a 2% tax on that. So if you add, and I'm not sure, to be honest with you, I can't tell if this was a marginal tax, or let's just assume though, the worst case scenario for you as a 50 millionaire would be that you got to pay $1 million. This is assuming you're not making any money on it, but $1 million on that 50 million each year. So,
but isn't it over 50 million too?
Will you be over 50 million?
So say you had $100 million.
I think maybe it's taxed on that second 50, but
Right.
I'm just saying the worst case scenario because I'm not sure it's marginal, but let's assume that it's not even.
Okay.
If it's $100 million that you have, you either pay $1 or $2 million depending on whether it's marginal, and so on and so on.
That's gonna hurt.
I know that's going to hurt.
I mean, the finish on the yacht is just going to be so outdated.
And it goes to the government.
But
too.
of course, what we're really talking about are people like Elon Musk and billionaires, where the idea that they'd have to pay $200 million and then they would be off the list. I mean, excuse me, not $200 million, $20 million, right? What is it? I don't even know what 2% of 2 billion is.
That's how big those numbers are. It's difficult to conceive of them.
That would be 2% would be, I think, $20 million.
But
Is that what it is?
the estimates
40 million.
is that
40 million.
her proposal would raise like 340 billion a year for the government.
Yes, and 340 billion a year over the course of a decade. No. That's a different thing. Sorry.
Okay.
And so, okay, that's just the wealth tax. We all understand what that is. Moore versus United States has nothing to do with the wealth tax per se. During the Trump years, there was as you know, there was a huge tax break given to wealthy people in this country. And one of the tax breaks, they gave up on the idea that money made overseas would be taxed once it's repatriated to this country. And instead, under this Trump law, they did a one-time tax that over the course of the next 10 years, that taxed not on your realized profits, right? Which is, like, for instance, I buy $100 worth of stock. It goes up and it's worth $200. I don't get taxed until I sell that stock and make $100, and then I get taxed on that. This is a little bit different because they were having trouble figuring out. There was basically a huge tax loophole where you could make this money and then shove it into a foreign entity and then hold it off the American, outside of America and keep it out there ad infinitum, and you don't get taxed until you repatriate it. Now, what they really should have done is just said, no, you just pay your taxes every year. That whole repatriation was instituted during the Eisenhower administration as a way to grow Europe and Japan, essentially, as part of the Marshall Plan. It was a tax break. So this case is about a family, the Moore family, who had invested like 14 grand in a company, according to them. And it was really more of like a friendly type of thing. 2017, these investors paid $14,729 in their taxes due to the one-time tax provision in the Trump tax bill. They had invested more than that. They then sued to get the money back because of a convoluted argument that they're making about the Constitution. I don't really know how to really express it to you, but it has to do with like that taxing on unrealized income, because this was the value in the company and it was measured at that moment, but it had not been realized because they hadn't sold their shares in it yet, is unconstitutional under some provision in the Constitution that says states must direct taxes apportioned among the several states that exist in there. That provision has more or less been left by the wayside in over 100 years worth of jurisprudence. These people are trying to revive it by saying that you cannot tax these gains because they are unrealized. Obviously, the American system of taxation is not in limbo because of this $15,000. But if the Supreme Court rules that you cannot tax unrealized wealth, essentially, then a wealth tax is basically done because it's sitting in a home, it's sitting in an investment, it's sitting in the bank. You need to wait until there's some type of profits, whether it's interest or whether it's capital gains or whatever it is. And that's what the Supreme Court could rule. And they've been coming for this for a while because they want to prevent in the future the ability of I don't know, name who you think is going to be president in 20 years, AOC, to come out and say, we're going to do a wealth tax.
Yeah. I mean, how, has there ever been a broad challenge of the ability of the Supreme Court to engage in judicial review in a preemptive fashion? Because to me, that seems like it's quite not necessarily in keeping with its...
Well, there's two things.
With the role of the Supreme Court.
One, they won't come out and say you can't have a wealth tax. They'll simply say the U.S. government cannot tax on unrealized gains.
Okay.
Which would foreclose a wealth tax, but would address this specific question. The thing that's come out, though, is it turns out like these shareholders, they're saying it's an unrealized gain, but they're also sort of lying about their relationship to the company. Because this is relevant because they're presenting themselves as simply investors. But if they have a certain amount of control of the corporation, then it just becomes a question of like it being corporate profits, which are all very taxable, even if they're unrealized. Or I should say a corporate revenue, which is taxable, even if it's unrealized profits for an individual. Long and short of it is, we'll have somebody on when this comes up, but I think it's going to be resolved. Well, they're going to hear the lawsuit in the coming weeks, December 5th. So I guess a week from today. Maybe we'll get Millhiser on to talk about
My
that.
birthday.
Yeah.
But keep an eye on that. Oh, is that right?
Well,
Sorry.
And George Armstrong Custer's.
Congrats. You get oral arguments about the wealth tax
Lex
for
last
your birthday.
yes.
Is that what you asked for?
Exactly.
Dr. Chaos MD, would killing the wealth tax via the Supreme Court also kill the estate tax as we know it? If the estate is not liquidated, no gains would be realized and therefore untaxable. I don't think so, because you're still transferring. It's unrealized relative to the estate. But at one point, it's new money to somebody else. So I don't think it would impact the estate tax, but I guess that's a good question. for when we talk to a legal expert on this. Should we talk about, or let's talk about this Macy's thing.
Okay.
This is an interesting story that came up yesterday. We got a little bit of time here. Yesterday, there was a story about a Macy's in,
See if I have it here.
now I've lost it.
Seattle.
I've lost the piece. I've got a whole stack of papers here, folks. And shoot.
Which article is it?
It was in yesterday's packet.
Okay. I will look.
I'm a mess here. All right, let's not do that one then right now.
Okay.
I'll find it at the break and we'll do it in the fun half. Shoot.
It's fine. We could do it from here. Would you like?
Yeah, but I had all my notes on it.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Biden poll numbers.
Oh, wait, I
then.
got, nope. No, I don't have it.
All
Son of a bitch. All right. I got a whole stack of papers here on my, wait a second. I got it.
Oh my goodness. There
There it
we
is.
go.
Birthday luck.
Okay. This is from the Seattle Times. Now, this came up at the beginning of this year. And as you know, I don't think I need to tell everybody this, that broadly speaking, crime has dropped precipitously in 2023 over 2022. There was a huge bump in crime during COVID. There was a lot of things that were messed up during
Because of the
COVID.
George Floyd effect, or because of the impact of that had on the economy and society? I don't know.
I think it just drove people crazy in many respects. But folks can come up with their own reasons. The bottom line is, whatever the supposed effect it was, we have seen crime rates drop precipitously. There are still areas where retail theft has been a problem. And we're starting to get some insight as to why. It could have been because of the George Floyd effect. But this is an interesting story out of Seattle. Dozens of Macy workers picketed early on Black Friday at the Westfield South Center in Tukwila and Alderwood Mall in Linwood. They want better wages, but they also have a big ask of Macy. They want Macy's to do more about thieves who brazenly pilfer from the stores and sometimes assault staff. And Yasmin Grenate, 55, worker there, member of the United Food and Commercial Workers Local 3000, say that Macy's management and others say that Macy's management does too little to deter thieves or protect staff. Employees say they're not allowed to interfere with thieves, which I think is I think that's a good thing for them to avoid, because they're not trained to deal with people like that, or to aid colleagues. Again, also probably a good policy, because you'll have your professionals come in and deal with it, but are told to report incidents to store security. But, quote, when I call security, no one picks up the phone, says Granat, who adds that the stress is too much at the job that pays a 23-year veteran just $20 an hour. Now, it's an obscene amount of pay to pay someone who's been working there for over 2 decades. It's just astonishing. Employees' frustration over shoplifting came to a head in May when Macy's purportedly suspended Alderwood employee Lisa Luke for 3 weeks without pay for calling the police over a suspected shoplifter in the parking lot. This is according to Luke and union officials. Luke, who was 56, says she called police only after store managers told her to contact mall security, who instructed her to call the police. Union members say that Macy's passive shoplifting policy reflects a bottom line mentality. They say the New York-based retailer refuses to invest in adequate store security, but also doesn't want armed police handcuffing suspects in front of shoppers. In other words, the reason why these Macy's keep getting hit is because they know the policy of Macy's is, we got to insure it anyways.
Yeah. And because like they're cutting costs and they're not creating a system for employees to even report these kinds of things, and they know that they'll just be able to blame the crime and the delinquency of people in the wherever
Well, also,
their locations
this
are.
is insured.
Yeah.
They are insured for these losses. So they don't care about the crime. It still makes them money.
They don't care about the situation they're putting the workers in.
Some accountant in New York has figured out that it costs them less to let people steal product than it does for them to have a perception of there being safety issues in their stores, says Joe Mizrahi, Secretary Treasurer of the UFCW 3000. Macy's has a financial incentive to pretend like there's not a problem. So this isn't a question of like the DAs are too soft or George Floyd caused all the police to say we're not going to respond. The corporation won't even let them call it in. Now, this is aside from the fact that like you had, Target and whatnot claiming they're closing certain stores because of crime when they had stores just a couple of blocks away have the same level of crime going on, but they don't close because they just saturated a neighborhood and realized we got to shut this down and we need to blame it on somebody. And it's not my incompetence that was it. It was because of the crime. This week, Forbes magazine ranked Washington as the worst state in the nation for retail theft with a per capita average of 347 in stolen goods, more than 2,300 incidents per 100,000 residents in 2021. Now, through October, reports of shoplifting in Seattle were down 21% with the same period in 2022. That must mean there's 21% more cops on the beat. I'm being facetious.
Yeah.
This is according to police data, but some retailers are not reporting, may not be reporting all thefts. In other words, crime is down, except for in specific stores that have found it more lucrative to not really deal with crime.
And instead, like you look at Macy's, they've done 500 million in stock buybacks. So not going to hire security or any sort of, to actually like help these workers who get put in these situations where people are stealing stuff. Who cares about that?
Yeah.
But let's get these stock buybacks.
I was just reading, I'm reading Saul, Game of Thrones. It may not be totally appropriate, but I try and edit out some of the worst parts. But there was something last night that I was walking through with him that someone said, which was basically sorcery is the sauce that people pour on defeat so that they don't taste their incompetence. And in this instance, I would say petty theft is the sauce that some of these corporations pour on their failure to place their retail stores in the proper place to drive sales and cover their tracks. That's the story that's going on here, where you've got workers begging the corporation, hey, at least let us call the cops.
Yeah.
It's wild how many people are willing to run with the corporate propaganda too. Like there's like the CVS story in DC where it turned out actually there was one like a few blocks away that was just fine. But
Yeah.
it was just the owners, the operators of that one CVS, just like, yeah, who cares?
Yeah, and I think it's also because like so much shopping is being done essentially online at this point, and like the brick and mortar kind of retail or stores are facing that kind of anxiety, as are their the corporations that real estate groups that own these commercial properties and rent to these big companies like Macy's. So they're answering to shareholders, but they're also answering to those commercial real estate groups as well, and trying to justify their continued storefronts. And that's why they blame theft.
And again, also remember you're talking about fully insured products here. All right. Let's take a break. We'll head into the fun half of the program. Sorry it took me so long to find that piece, but I thought it was really fascinating.
Yeah.
And wanted to draw people's attention to it. We've got a lot more to talk about in the fun half. Joe Biden's numbers, and in many respects, it's not a mystery as to why people are feeling a pinch for the economy, particularly young people. And a lot of that has to do with housing.
Biden should
not
run
TikTok?
on a national housing initiative if he has.
Well, I'm
does
not
not-
convinced that TikTok doesn't have a role actually in helping maybe tell people at least where the Biden administration is. There was, we'll talk more about this, but there was a PCCC did some polling, and I think we touched on this story. The polling shows that like people can't really differentiate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden on the question of Social Security. It is at least the last sort of like vote taken on this in the by Democrats in the Senate was to expand Social Security. Part of that problem could be that not only does Joe Biden not necessarily talk about Social Security enough, but this idea of making Donald Trump somehow unique from the Republican Party also allows Donald Trump to say, like, I'm not going to cut Social Security when the whole party is geared towards cutting Social Security. But we'll talk more about that in the so-called fun half. Folks, it's your support that makes this show possible. You can become a member today at jointhemajorityreport.com. When you do so, you get the free half free of commercials. You get the fun half, although keep the give directly thing today. You get the fun half. You can IM the fun half. We got bonuses for merch for members. We'll send out another email maybe to that effect in the coming week. 10% off the merch if you're a member. It is Giving Tuesday. We've got a link to give directly in the podcast and YouTube description. And again, if you want to become a member and don't have the finances, send us an email at majorityreporters@gmail.com. Have a little patience, but we will get to you and hook you up. Emma.
Yes.
ESVN.
Well, we went into week 12 in the NFL, the Thanksgiving week, the very exciting, epic games that we saw. Eagles, Bills, who's to blame for the Bills' struggles, Jags, Texans, the emerging talent there in the AFC South, and more, youtube.com/ESVN show. And
Matt, what is going
whoa, Matt is bringing in props.
on? Uh-oh. It's Carrot Top.
I
What's
can't
going on
believe you
here?
remember. Matt finally remembered the
Whoa,
left reckoning
look at
hat.
this.
Thank you.
Oh. Wow, this is a really unfortunate day to give everybody else a present.
Oh, that's true. It's a little too big. I got to break this brim in, but I love this.
It's a little awkward.
Are you a baseball cap
Sam,
guy?
yours is on the way.
Mike, baseball cap guy?
Yeah.
You serious?
Yeah, are you?
Of course.
You got one of the camo ones coming, but
This
these
is sweet, honestly.
available if you want one of these black Left Reckoning hats, trucker hats. Go to leftreckoning.com/store yeah, check that out. I did not know it was Sam's birthday.
Well,
so
it's all right. It's a little awkward.
it is a little bit
A
awkward.
little awkward.
But anyway, here's gifts for other people. You can buy. We have this new fence cutters, nice quality long sleeve shirt. Which
Oh, these are nice. I like this
yeah.
stuff. you got
So
going.
yeah, check that out. leftreckoning.com/store.
I will wear this proudly.
All right, folks. Do you want to say what it's on the show, or is it just you guys?
Oh yeah,
all
tonight.
merch operation now?
Yeah, we're just doing merch now. We're hype beasts. Tonight on Left Reckoning, Brian Meyer talking about Lula, and the American involvement in the Lavajato stuff. We go deep with him, and also I'm going to be doing a little. I'm going solo tonight, so also I'll be in the post game on Twitch, which will be available for everyone. I'll be looking at some LBJ tapes about the 6-Day War. So check that out. Patreon.com/Left Reckoning tonight.
646-257-3920 is the number to see in the fun half.
You are in for it.
All right, folks. 646-257-3920. See you in the fun half.
Are you ready?
Who sent us this?
Alpha males are back. Boy is back. And the alpha males are back.
Just as delicious as you could imagine.
The alpha males are back. Boy is back. And the alpha males are back, 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 back.
Just want to degrade the white man.
Alpha males are back, back.
I take all of it in my throat.
Alpha males are back, 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 back.
Snowflake says what?
The alpha males are back, 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 back.
You are a madman.
And the alpha males are back, back.
Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare.
Nightmare. Bring back DJ Danner.
Yeah, or a couple of them, just put them in rotation.
DJ Danner.
Well, the problem with those is they're like 45 seconds long, so I don't know if they're enough of a break.
That's fucking nonsense. You see white people doing drugs, they look worse than normal white people, and all white people look disgusting.
And the alpha males,
psych, fuck them, fuck them. Snowflake says what? Snowflake says what?
A hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a lot of bank. Okay, I'm making stupid money. Hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a lot of bank.
All lives matter.
Have you tried doing an impression on a college campus?
I think that there's no reason why reasonable people across the divide can't all agree with this. Psych.
and the alpha males are back, 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 back. And the Africans are black, 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 black African. And the alpha males are black, 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 black. And the Africans are back, 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 back.
When you see Donald Trump out there, doesn't a little part of you think that America deserves to be taken over by jihadists? Keeping it 100.
Can't knock the hustle.
Come on, fuck them, fuck them. Things I do for the bigger game plan. By the way, it's my birthday. Happy birthday to me, Jew boy. I have a thought experiment for you.
And the alpha males are back, back. Africans are black, black. Alpha males are black, black. Africans are back, back.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Someone needs to pay the price for blasphemy around here.
I am a total pussy.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Let's not. I don't even want to like. Yeah, I don't know if we should draw attention to that, but that's so. Well, maybe if we get to it in the
philosophy was being piped to Earth.
I have some new drops.
What's that one?
Here
is that Elon?
Yeah, it's Elon talking to Rogan.
And that philosophy was being piped to Earth.
And also later, Rogan said this.
Yeah, I don't think you're melodramatic at all.
Yeah. What piped?
He's that was when
the woke mind virus.
Yeah, he's saying
totally like a pipe from space.
Rogan's like, why'd you buy Twitter? And he's like, well, you go outside and there's a zombie infestation of homeless people in San Francisco. And why is that? Because of woke
ideology.
So that's why I bought Twitter.
Incidentally, speaking of woke ideology and zombie apocalypses, in the New York Times this weekend, you may have read a piece about what's going on in Houston in terms of how much success they've had in providing housing for homeless people. Or maybe a year and a half ago, you heard Emma's interview on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just FYI.
Yeah.
I
was wondering
what happened to the Democrats.
Wonderful. Sam, Democracy Now! Used a clip of Ehud Barak from Majority Report today's show. You can hear the whoopsie sound drop and Emma and Matt chuckling in the background as Barak talking about the tunnels. Fun Easter egg this morning. Yeah, we just listened to that. That's amazing.
I mean, love that they like the show. I mean, I love Democracy Now! I listen to it almost every morning. So
there you go. All right, let's go into this one here.